Hello, and welcome back to the Holistic Hatha Yoga podcast. I'm Kelsey, your host, and today is an interesting one, my friends. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to be recording for this episode. I had a few different notes and outlines for other topics, but the present state of affairs in the United States um, really calls for some speaking on at the moment. And so this is not going to be a political outcry necessarily, but we will tie in some yogic things here. Um, but man, the world is definitely hurting right now. Hurting in ways that is just unreal. Absolutely unreal. So to open this podcast today, I am going to start with our mantra of may all beings be happy and free, because that's the goal here. And with the practice of yoga and the self-understanding that comes along with it, if each and every person were to just have these tools and to just be able to be treated with love and compassion from the start, I think we would live in a lot different space than what we do at this moment. Um, so that mantra, Om Loka Samista Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Loka Samista Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Loka Samista Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In a moment of silence. Deep breath in, big breath of white light coming into the body, into the lungs, cleansing, detoxifying, and as you exhale, imagine dust or gray or blackness coming out. Anything that's within that needs to make its way out, just it's getting expunged and pushed out with that cleanse of that white light breath. So just do a few of these breaths, imagining any illness, any ailments you might be feeling to be breathed out. Breathing in light and breathing out anything that's not serving us. And we say Shanti. Shanti means peace. And so we say Shanti 3 times. Once to signify peace within ourselves, once to signify peace between ourselves and others, and a 3rd time to represent peace throughout the universe for everybody. This has been a practice for thousands of years already here on Earth, and it's something that I find worthwhile for us to continue in humanity. And yeah, it's just been such interesting times with war and an unnecessary war that we can tell that is completely unnecessary. It's just coming from a place of evil. And I've been rereading the Bhagavad Gita recently, and it is basically the it is a Hindu spiritual book, um, but it is about Arjuna and Krishna. Well, Arjuna's going on this battlefield, and he doesn't want to fight because, well, one, he's the general, he's the commander, so he is required to fight. Two, he doesn't want to fight because, and that's not a reason why he doesn't want to fight. Let me get to this. The reason he doesn't want to fight is that his teacher and his grandfather are the enemy, are the opposing side. And so he feels very torn, obviously, about going to war with his kin and expecting to conquer or murder his kin. And he's gone on the battlefield many times before this. This is not his first battle, so this shouldn't be an issue. However, with the stakes being slightly different, he's having a hard time with it. And so Krishna arrives and is telling him pretty much just the ways of life, and so like that's what the whole book is his pep talk, into this situation. Um, and it's just, there's just so many things that they talk about it. Just so many interesting ways to look at life and ways that I do look at life, I suppose. But I wouldn't necessarily say I'm Hindu. I mean, I have a lot of my ideologies that pulled from many different religions, but Hinduism and Buddhism mainly being one of them. But Hinduism and um, Jesus said some good things. I've mentioned that on this podcast. I probably talk about Jesus more than anyone. It's really funny. Um, but yeah, I mean, Arjuna's really upset, does not want to fight. But he goes on to tell him, you need to fight. This is your duty. This is what you gotta do. And, I think we can all feel this at points of our lives where we don't want to do something. We don't want to hurt somebody, but it's part of our dharma or part of our truth that we must follow that truth, and in following our truth sometimes people get hurt, um, and that is just a fact of life, um, but to wish everyone well, to hope that everyone is moving for their best efforts and the best efforts of all is, all we can do. So today in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is interesting. My father was actually born and raised in Minneapolis, and they had protests today. I don't even know if you could call it a protest. Basically, the people just standing outside to say that they don't want a certain um, entity in their city enforcing laws when they're not law enforcement. Um, And in this peaceful protest, a nurse, no less, an ICU nurse, someone dedicating their life to healing others and helping others and being of service to others, was cold-blooded murdered in the streets by these entities. Um, and it is an outrage. He was not doing anything. There was no right for them to shoot him, and the entire nation saw it. And we're being told lies. We're being told he was a gunman. We're being told yes, he did have a gun, but it was concealed and he was not threatening with it. And they took the gun away from him and tossed it to the side before they murdered him, if that tells you anything. And it brings to mind a George Orwell quote of 1984 where it says, you know, when they murder before your eyes and they tell you not to believe your own eyes and ears, like that's when we're fucked. That's not a direct quote. Direct quote, George Orwell. No, not a direct quote, but there is, I've read the book, obviously, but there is that line, and where you have seen something and someone else is trying to tell you that what you saw was not what you saw, and that it's okay, and that just turn away, and to not respond, or to not have a thought about it again, which is an outrage. It is a dumpster fire that has exploded on top of a sewer plant. Like, it is atrocious. And in that, I guess really all I'm coming on to say is that you have to stand in your truth, and you have to know what you've seen. You have to understand who the enemy is and who the enemy is not. And it's not your neighbor. It's not your community members. It's not your children's teachers who are the enemy. The enemy is much larger than that. And the only way out of anything like this is truly by banding together. And it's the only way. I have very limited words. Like I said, I had other, more yogic topics to cover, but with this, it's too much. And we can't be silent. We can't be silent about these things and just pretend like it never happened. And it's not the first time either. I know this. I'm very well aware. I'm very well aware. But with the consistency of how much this has been happening and how much we've been told just to turn away and not pay attention, it's terrifying. It is quite terrifying. And so, you know, it, to come from a yogic perspective, peaceful protests or sit-ins, but these things, these peaceful protests, like this event in Minneapolis was at a peaceful protest. So it's not that attending these things you're in the most safe place. You're not. However, it is important that we voice and band together against the tyrants that be. New World Order, the government, whatever you want to call it, to understand that they are not your friend, and that the community members they've tried to make you hate are actually your allies and your army, and you're also part of that army. Um, yeah, peaceful protests, protecting your neighbor, being a good neighbor, helping people when they need help, bringing groceries to the neighbor that hasn't been leaving their house very much lately. Just being a good human is all we can do. Following the yogic code, being kind, practicing nonviolence. Practicing nonviolence is a huge one. Even in these times of violent acts being pushed upon us, it's so important to remain peaceful. And because you really can't fight hate with hate, but to just do your best, for everyone to just do their best and to help their fellow citizen is really what we need um, in these coming times. Uh, yeah, it's just, I'm so sorry. I feel like I just kind of keep repeating myself and that I'm in kind of a loss for words almost. But it reminds me a little bit of like India's revolution and Gandhi leading that revolution along the lines of just completely peaceful always, never violent, and we will eventually win, and I stand with that, and I think it's almost the only way because things can get turned around so quickly in the media's eyes, if people are fighting back, then all of a sudden you can turn those cameras to make it look like the protesters were the ones who initiated the fight or whatever. But if you sit there and they massacre, I'm not trying to tell you to sit through a massacre, but if I am a peaceful protester and I am at a peaceful protest and there are then agents that show up and begin executing people, how can you cover that up? How can you cover up the videos of peaceful people just that take it, that just, and I'm not saying that people should do that. I'm not saying that that's what this should all come to. But I'm saying that there's an impact in being peaceful, even when violence is put against us. And that really the only thing that we can do and control is our own self and our own actions. And like I said, just being a helpful neighbor, a helpful coworker, a good parent, a good community member, whatever you like to call yourself. Going out there and outpouring your love and your compassion and your humanness into the world is what we need. And yeah, I think everyone just needs to take some deep breaths and really, really ground into your soul. Know what's right, know what's wrong. We all know what's right and what's wrong. We're human. I don't believe that that somebody has no moral compass. Like, we understand when we're doing right and we understand when we're doing wrong. So yeah, just coming on here to encourage everybody to continue choosing the right path, choosing the path of love, choosing the path of peace, choosing the path of compassion, choosing the path of being the light that's needed in the world. And with that, I think we are going to do a little breathing practice to kind of round out this episode. And yeah, so with this breathing practice, I don't know that we've done this one before or not. I think we have here on this podcast. So if you've been around, you'll remember this one. And if you're new here, welcome. And I'm so sorry that you joined on such a sad episode. But nonetheless, just know the rest of the episodes won't be this way. Um, they won't all be this sad, I promise. But yeah, I guess, okay, before we get into this breathing practice, one last thing. Part of being a Buddhist, part of being a yogi, part of, participating in anything like that is taking on that responsibility of light and being a warrior of light and being a warrior in all sense of the words, um, towards self-enlightenment, awakening, global awakening, the betterment of humanity, love and light. Those are the things that we're a warrior for. And so I guess that's another reason I'm bringing this up in this podcast, is that it is our duty, it is our dharma, it is our job as spiritual practitioners to stand against, peacefully stand against any darkness, anything that comes from fear, any type of power or person that is trying to harm innocent people. And it's not that we're to seek out problems, and it's not that we're to seek out this darkness and go fight it. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that when it presents itself to you, that you stand in your light and you stand in your truth and you stand grounded and tall and strong. And that's all we can do as a warrior of light. And people might say, well, what if something happens? What if someone does assault you? What if this? What if that? And you're saying to stand, be peaceful, still. Like, obviously self-defense is a thing. I'm not going to say don't defend yourself. But on the other hand, what if something happens, when you do stand in your light? And, I'm a mother of young children, so it's not like I'm putting myself in any danger anytime soon. But there, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a line in there that kind of made me think about all of this with the nonviolence and the protests and just how wild this has all been, but also how important it is that people are doing that work. But at some point, Arjuna's like, well, I don't know that I want to go on this battlefield and, do this whole thing. It doesn't seem like my jam right now. And Krishna says, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. So he's just saying, there's already a war around you. So you're not avoiding that. The war is already here. So you either go out on the fucking battlefield and fight, and if you die, you go to heaven and whatever. You move on to your next life. Who fucking cares? I shouldn't say who fucking cares. That's a terrible thing to say. Everybody cares. Human life is not something to be sacrificed or given lightly or taken lightly. But in the same way, when it comes to these things, we do have our duties, and so you either go and fight on the battlefield, and worst case scenario, you move on to your next life, or you conquer, and the war on earth in your body that you're experiencing right now is no longer surrounded by war because you made the war stop through your actions. You stopped the attack through your own actions. And you made it heaven and peaceful again, heaven on earth. So it's a win-win. In the darkest terms, my friends, it's a win-win. There's never any fault in standing in your truth and in standing for love or light, whatever you want to call it. Divine consciousness. Universal love, one love, God, whatever you want to call it, whatever makes you feel comfortable. But that's what we're doing here. That's our dharma, my friends, is to stand in our light at all times, no matter how dark it gets. So I hope that gives you strength in whatever you're facing, whatever grimness you might feel. But I hope you can stand in your power. I hope you can still smile and be kind and compassionate and loving towards your neighbor and band together stronger with your fellow humans and trust what you see with your eyes and what you know with your heart. So with that, we'll do a little bit of breathing to just kind of calm the nervous system. If you've been feeling anxious or nervous or saddened or whatever by the world, to just kind of check in, take some breaths, let your body tell itself that it is safe. It is in a loving, nurturing environment. It is taken care of. And it's all going to be okay. So we'll close the eyes and just let the breath come in nice and easy through the nostrils. Pull that breath all the way down towards the belly as you breathe in deeply, filling the lungs all the way up towards the collarbones, and then exhaling down from the collarbones, down through to the belly. Pull that abdomen in or pull the belly button in as you press that exhale out. And then slowly begin your inhale again. Inhaling to the bottom of the belly, filling all the way up to the top of the lungs, to the collarbones. And exhaling down through the chest, through the belly, pulling in the abs, exhaling. Noticing this little place before you take your big inhale. Holding the breath there for a moment. Noticing that space and exhaling. Holding the breath out for just a couple moments. And then inhaling the breath in. Holding that breath for a moment. And exhaling out. Bring in the breath one more time. Deep breath in. Hold the breath in. And exhale out. Nice and slow. Hold that breath out for a moment. And then let yourself just come to a natural breath. letting the eyes stay closed. Bring the eyes or the gaze up towards the third eye, keeping those eyes closed so we're still enveloped in darkness, but bringing those eyes up towards that third eye, staring up at that third eye. Taking a couple deep breaths as we just bring all that attention to the third eye, keeping the eyes closed. Feeling that opening. And now start to imagine that white light is coming right through the forehead into that third eye. It's filling that third eye area, filling it up with bright white light. Now imagine that light, that it shoots a strand down towards your feet, through your body, grounding to your feet. That bright white light connecting your third eye all the way through your body, down to the feet. And now imagine the light from the third eye shooting upwards through the crown of the head to the sky, to the cosmos, to the universe, connecting with all other light out there. Bringing in that light energy, bright white light, beaming down through the crown of the head, down through the feet, connecting up through the spine, through the neck, through the third eye, through the crown of the head, up, 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 through your home, through the space around you. Now that that light's fully connected straight up and straight down, imagine as you take a deep breath in, your light expands and it envelops your body, and it gets a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger till it's bigger than a blanket covering your whole body, bigger than your aura. Make it as big as the room that you're in, just full of light. Singeing any darkness, singeing any shadows, singeing any black. Bring your awareness back to your heart. Take a deep breath here. Exhale with ease. Take a restful breath here in your heart space. Really just take a moment to rest in your heart space. Send yourself love, compassion, appreciation, and gratitude for everything that you've done for yourself before this moment and all you'll continue to do for yourself and for others after this moment. May you walk from a place of love and light always. May you never let fear be your guide. And may you always stand in your truth with the strength and love and clarity. You can bring your hands together to a prayer position at the heart center. Take a few easy breaths. Om Loka Samesta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May all beings be happy and free. One love, my friends. I will see you next week on the Holistic Hatha Yoga podcast. I hope you can enter your week with great intentions, positive intentions, and a way forward for yourself and your immediate relations in a positive way. All right. One love, my friends. We will talk soon. Bye.